Good morning. Good morning. Everybody, come on in and have a seat. Welcome to the July Division I meeting. Obviously, I am not Mr. Brannon, so some of you will be relieved, some of you will be disappointed that I'm here. So anyway, we want to welcome you to the division meeting today. We've got lots of things to cover. We've got a bunch of show and tell. So we want to welcome everybody. Hope you had a great 4th of July. Russell Gifford is going to be doing our program today on the Magnorail. What do you call it? Magnorail, which is a fascinating little system. Makes the cars. How many of you have seen the model miniature Wonderland in Germany? Yeah, with all the little cars going around. It's very similar to that. Makes all the vehicles go. He has got that on his home layout. He's going to put a small portion of that up here on the Texas Western layout as well. Anyway, Mr. Crumpton from the Texas Western probably has a few minutes. We'd like to thank them for allowing the meetings here and in setting us all up.
Thank you. Who was here for the first time? A couple. No. You've been here before. If you're here for the first time, we're glad you're here. Daryl, do you remember if we have any memberships left in the Texas Western?
2, I think, yeah.
Okay, good. We're running low, but we still have room for more members. No, seriously, we have room for lots of members. So if you're interested in running trains and helping us build this layout, please see myself or Daryl. Jay Waters, are you here today?
No.
Jay Waters is our CAO, and he handles membership. So anyway, other than that, welcome. We're glad you're here. Things to notice today, big changes in Tower 55 area. You got to see it before you leave here today. So if you're going around the corner of the layout, Tower 55 is now in place. It's lit, it's detailed, as well as much of the scenery around it. So check it out today. Daryl Cowles is heavily involved in putting that in, as well as Jay Waters and Mike Weiss help on the scenery. So check that out today before you leave. The other thing I wanted to mention is over here on the wall against the whiteboard is a shade. This shade was donated to us, and in the process of transporting it back to the club, we broke a part on it. So we had to have it machined. The part has been installed and is now up for sale. So Daryl passed out a few of these flyers. I have an extra one here that I don't need. I want to.
There's actually some sitting on the cushion on the shade.
Okay. I put my copy right there. So if you're interested in that shade, or if you know somebody that is, spread the word. It is now ready for sale. We will make you a good deal. So look at the information on that shade, that shade literature, so you'll know it's sold as is and where is. We do not deliver it because it is super heavy. It's probably about 450 pounds. So anyway, that's all I've got. Thank you for being here today, and enjoy the meeting.
Also, there's, if you'll notice when you came in, there's some tables full of magazines.
Thank you. I forgot about that.
There is a 20 magazine limit. I mean, minimum. Excuse me, not a limit, but a minimum. So everybody has to take minimum of 20 when you go out the door. Seriously, these were in a large donation. This is all some stuff that just came in this past week. Also books and models and kits and stuff. But the magazines are one of those things that if you need that particular issue, we probably got it over there. So be sure, sort through them all, take whatever you want, because they will go into the large green library out back this afternoon. So, I mean, you can't store them all. That's, I mean, I've got them at home that I've thrown away and thrown away and thrown away. So anyway, be sure to go through that, grab all the magazines that you would like to have. Yes, sir.
Just one point. We've got HO magazines, we've got O scale.
N scale.
Big stack of O scale, S scale, and N scale. So if you're involved in any of those other scales, we have them over there. So please take some.
Yeah, and prototype. We've got some prototype stuff in there too.
Did we say that they were free?
Yes, I
They
believe we
are
did.
free.
With a 20 magazine minimum.
But
Yeah.
we will charge you $20 per head if you don't take it.
I'm sensing a tone.
Yeah. All right. Do we have any new people coming in today? We've got some new guys. Would y'all raise your hands? All the new people. Mackie, you're new every day. Yes, sir. All right. Would you stand and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Name's Warren Park. I recently moved here last fall from Seattle, Washington. Eric, right over here, is helping me out with my layout. He invited me to come and attend your meeting.
Cool. We're glad to have you.
I model HO scale, Pittsburgh and Chalmette, which 90% of you probably have never heard. It's a coal line in Pennsylvania.
Ah, okay. Pittsburgh and Chalmette. Okay. And now you're modeling standard HO or narrow gauge?
Standard HO.
Standard HO. All right. And you were a member of club before?
No, I've never been to an
Okay.
MRA meeting ever.
Well, hopefully we don't scare you today. So, yes,
So far, your jokes
but-
are okay.
yeah.
All right.
So, okay, it's early in the meeting still. Yeah. Yeah. It's still.
Doesn't the new guy have to take all the magazines?
He's got to take what's left. But the good news is we will help you load them. So,
I only have sedan.
yeah. Oh, yeah. We get a lot in there. Yeah. All right. Good deal. Anybody else new? There's their first meeting. All right. Well, thank you so much, Mark. Is Mark Clark? Is that correct?
Lauren Clark.
Lauren Clark.
Yeah, the way I say it, everyone said Mark.
Okay.
Where do you live?
In between Lake Worth and Saginaw.
That is a perfect drive to this club.
If you're picking up landscaping stones, which is like 3 miles, which I did before here.
That's perfect.
All right.
Take
Okay.
a look around at our layout after the meeting. If you have any questions, let me or Daryl know.
You got anybody on Zoom?
Power 55 because I have the fortunate luck of being able to see where it was from my window at work every day.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I moved here by a year. I missed it before they tore it down.
Interesting note, the parking lot around our Tower 55 is mortar that was chipped off of bricks that we got from Tower 55. Isn't that cool? So parking lot, chipped up mortar that's been ground down to be gravel size. So that's cool. You can look at that and say, that came off of bricks from Tower 55. So check it out.
And as a side note, it's not that easy to crush mortar down into little tiny stones.
So, all right. We got some members attending by Zoom. Got several members. Welcome to those guys. We appreciate y'all joining us today. They don't want to show their faces. They got their cameras blocked. Okay. Dave Green, Treasury Report. Dave is not here. We are just starting our ending balance is about $2,472. So we're in good shape. And the CD is collecting interest in PNC Bank. So we're good. I have one note here. Jim Ogden has a few words he'd like to say. And he doesn't normally dress like this for us. So we're kind of feeling bad about that. But we're going to expect it next time. But he's got a place he has to go. So he's going to make an announcement first. Jim? It's that microphone right there.
Okay, just want to talk a little bit about some of the programs we're doing.
Pull this out of here.
Okay.
I said that.
Okay.
There.
Okay, I want to talk a little bit about some of the programs we're going to be doing. It's not on, okay.
It's on.
No, it's
Oh,
on.
it is, okay, it is, okay.
Test one.
Talk.
Okay, I want to talk a little bit about some of the programs. We got some different things that we're going to be doing. Today,
Oh, hang on. It is not. Give me a second here.
here we got some new software, so that's the issue.
There you go.
Okay. Want to talk a little bit about some of the programs we've got. Today we're going to have Russell doing his talk on Magnorail, and I've spent a lot of time looking at stuff at night on YouTube and said, how can anybody do this? Just kind of fabulous. Next week we're most likely going to have David Stackler doing service facilities, and in September we're going to wind up having Eric Smith. There's Eric there talking about 3D printing. these are some really good programs, and I encourage everyone to be able to encourage everybody to be able to attend these things. Now, we've got something special that we're going to be doing during October and November. We're going to have a group build on a tool shed slash speeder shed, courtesy of Dwayne, who's back over. Next slide, please. So again, July, Russell; August, David; September, Eric; October and November would be the speeder shed, and then of course we got our holiday extravaganza going on in December. So I encourage everybody to come to that. Now, we got some prices on the tool shed slash speeder shed. Should be the next slide here. For an N scale, it's going to be 15, for HO 20, S is going to be 22, and O will be 25. And we've had very, very good positive things to say about our past group builds, and these are all going to be laser cut. I think Dwayne will probably talk about this a little bit later on here. I'm going to be passing around a sign-in sheet if you're interested in getting one of these kits. And again, it's going to be just exquisite. If you've ever seen any of the stuff that Dwayne has done, it is just fabulous with the amount of, I mean, it's a very generic kind of structure that will work on just about any layout. So I think that's it for me.
Sorry, rookie on the.
Thingy here.
Yeah, we got some new software that he's that's just been
Well,
installed.
yeah, somebody can't operate this either. So, yeah, anyway, any of you that have seen Dwayne's stuff that he builds, it's excellent. Needs a little weathering perhaps, but other than that.
That's a joke.
You'll just have nails sticking out of the studs and the boards are gone. So anyway, okay, thank you, Jim. We appreciate the updates. Mike Ross is not here. Okay, he's asking for donations of relatively recent copies of Model Railroader, Railroad Model Craftsman, or NMRA magazine. Well, we need to gather up those back there. We'll get what we can. Plans on handing them out at the Plano recent models. I found when we were getting those magazines in, I found some 1960-something magazines still in the plastic bag they were shipped in. They're pristine. Okay, so if you're a collector of mint old railroad magazines, that's the deal. Anyway, if you've got some more recent copies of Model Railroader, Model Railroad Craftsman, or NMRA magazine, please get with Mike Ross, and he wants to get those. Chris Mahan has an announcement. Somebody hand Chris the microphone back there, would you?
Is it on?
Yes.
Good morning, everybody. Project Pay It Forward is moving forward at a rapid speed. As you can all see, our layout has track, and we're starting on scenery. And I'd like to take a minute and thank Russell and Deb Gifford. The three Toms, I'm just going to go Tom, Tom, and Tom, Jeff Cornelius, Dan Cook, and Mike Mackey. We have now had a commitment of contribution from Train Control Systems of a DCC system for the layout, so we will be DCC. Walthers has committed to providing us materials, and so has Woodland Scenic. We have two modules which will only be basically finished. In other words, we're going to put down some ground cover, maybe a little grass or whatever. If you're interested in helping with a project, we can always use another set of hands, or if you feel like taking one of these modules and finishing it to the point where we'll be ready for the show. September meeting of the division, we will have the layout here. It will be running, and so everybody can see it. Tickets are going to be $5 a ticket, 5 tickets for $20. And we hope, and we'll be running from the first minute the show opens until 3 o'clock on Sunday. If you've got any questions about the project, please get in touch with me or Russell or any of the people who have been working on it. And I appreciate the division's support that they've given us to go ahead with this project. I also would mention that last show's winner is with us today, and he's going to be showing off how he has developed the layout he won and move forward. And I think this is what we're trying to do, is get new people into the hobby. If anybody's got a quick question, I'll take 1 or 2 quick questions. Has anybody got any questions? Okay, that's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Yep.
I think I've gotten on good authority that work that you're doing on the Pay It Forward project counts as volunteer hours or your volunteer on your AP certificate. And if you're doing work on the scenery part of it, you might even have that part of it judged to add to your scenery square footage or your scenery certificate. Correct. Hint, hint, hint.
Okay. Well, there's been a lot of work done, as you can see. So, all right, thank you.
All righty. Got some upcoming events. August, I'm sorry. The Surfliner 2024 NMRA Convention is in August. The Surf NMRA Convention is 4th through the 11th, so mark that on your calendars. The National Train Show is the 9th through the 11th. The upcoming August Austin Train Show is 24th and 25th. So any of you ever run down to Austin, check that train show out. It's usually pretty good. And the 28th and 29th is the upcoming Plano Train Show. So everybody make notes on that. Is Division 1 staff in the booth this year? Who is? Yes? Okay. Russell, is that you collected names for that? Okay. Please get with Russell. We need people to help staff the booth for the division. Okay. All right. Yeah. Division AP announcements. It says I have to let Mike Mackey talk.
Thank you for your support. How many of you have a layout at home? How many of you have your golden spike of those? Oh, keep your hands up. How many of you of those have your golden spike? Okay. So we've got people who are in the room that have a layout that don't have their golden spike. We need to see you. We need to give you paperwork to fill out. And we need to get pictures and or someone to come by and look at your layout so that you can get your golden spike. Or do it with Zoom. We can do that as well. Okay? Pretty easy. The golden spike is the entry into the AP program. And we're really excited about the fact that several of you, and I'm going to run down a list here in a minute, are earning a lot of certificates for the AP program this month. All right? Mr. Cowles, how many of you turning in?
We got 4 certificates and 2 structures to build.
How many?
4 certificates and 2 structures.
4 certificates and 2. You're turning in.
Dispatch, electric, scenery, and official.
Sweet. All right. And you're also working on your locomotives and prototype modeler?
Yes.
All right. How many certificates will that give you in all?
7.
Will that finish up your, all of that will finish up your MMR, your Master Model Railroader?
Correct.
I think that's a round of applause. What do you think, guys? All right. Let's see. Dr. Mike Walters. You got paperwork for me? Attaboy. What about scenery? In progress, okay. Ken Kaiser. Mr. Kaiser, the work you've done over here on Houston could probably qualify for your scenery certificate. Can we get some paperwork on that? Outstanding. Yes, sir. We can get it. What do you want to do for? Golden Spike? I've got that right here. All right. Some of that's brass.
Mike, am I correct in saying that if you have already gotten another certificate, you cannot do the Golden Spike then? Is that correct?
No, you can, if you've already got your MMR, you can't do your Golden Spike.
Okay.
Everything else is eligible.
Okay.
Okay? It's in the very back. I thought I printed them off. Right there. All right. Let's see. Tom Pearson.
My name wasn't on the email,
It-
so I assumed that meant I had another month to work on it.
That is a false assumption. That's what you get for assuming, okay?
You got all the time in the world, all kidding aside, but right now, we are lined up to have what might be an LSR record month.
Cool.
So
Yeah.
I really need it by the 19th if I can get it, so that gives me plenty of time to process it, because my deadline to national is the 20th.
Okay.
But if you're gonna be really close, give me a jingle and say, hey, I've got it coming, it'll be here, it's probably going to be on the 20th. I'll at least know to expect it and make sure I look out for it and include it in what we've got going on.
Okay. We're looking at possibly over 20 certs turned in this month just from Division I.
Yay.
That would be outstanding, okay? Russell and Deb are putting some stuff together, I believe. Mr. Pearson is putting some stuff together. Dick Brannon is putting some stuff together. And we've got a ton of people getting certificates. So if you're on the cusp, please don't just sit on your backside, and fill out the paperwork. Print it off and fill it out. And if you've got any questions, I'm available. And if I'm not available, I know Dwayne's available. So we're here to help you, and we want to get this thing turned in. Let's set a record for this month. What do you say, guys? Good deal? All right. Anybody have any questions about other AP things? Surely. Mr. Christ. Mr. Christ, you could probably get author. Oh, you already have author? Okay, great. Very good.
Cool. Thank you,
Yes.
Mike.
When you say the Golden Spike, at what level does the layout have to be completed?
The requirements for Golden Spike state that any layout of, well, let me rephrase that. Any scale layout needs to have at least 4 by 8 square feet, okay? 2 by 8 square feet, yeah. 8 square feet in any scale, all right? You must have a minimum of 6 pieces of rolling stock that are super detailed, scratch built, or what was the other term that they use? Super detailed craftsman kits, okay, on display, all right? That's where some people normally miss it, okay? But you also need to have 5 structures that were either scratch-built craftsman kits or super detailed kits. And if a module has less than 5 structures, additional structures separate from the scene are acceptable, okay? 3 types of track work are required on your layout, which are a turnout, a crossing, crossover, something like that. All must be ballasted, and that's another thing. You got to have ballast on your track. That's one of the things that Mr. Gradke's working on his stuff right now, is getting ballast down. All track must be wired so that 2 trains can operate simultaneously.
on the track. Now, if you've got a DCC system, that's pretty simple because you just turn one engine, put one engine on a siding and run the other one, or run them, you know, nose to tail or whatever. And then provide any one additional electrical feature, such as a powered turnout, signaling, turnout indication, or a lit building. So add a light to a building. That's pretty simple too. All right, and that gets you your golden spike. All right. Any other questions? All righty. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mike. Mr. Roberts, Richardson, you want to come up here and do some AP stuff?
Dr. Ross is here now too.
Oh, Dr. Ross. Dr. Ross, we said that you were looking for current magazine issues. Would anybody get in touch with you if they would like to donate those for the giveaways that you're going to do? We also have some tables back here. There's a 20 magazine minimum for everybody here today that has to take those. So if there's anything on those tables you would like to take, please do.
Yeah, at the
Awesome.
at the training shows that in October and January, NMRA sends us what they call a promotion box, which is just a post office one price mailer box full of some NMRA magazines and far too many application forms than we'll ever use in multiple years.
Wishful thinking.
But I thought that it'd be nice if there are so many people new to the hobby coming to these shows that if we hand out Model Railroad or RMC and others, give people a taste of what the hobby involves, we might stimulate interest in the hobby as well as the NMRA. So there's far more magazines here than I can haul off today.
Oh, no, we're good at packing. We can get a lot of those.
So
Absolutely.
this is a good place. Then prior to each show, whoever's going to the shows and going to man the table with me can pick up. We'll arrange to pick up a supply and take them there.
All right. Thank you, sir. Dwayne,
Sir?
you may proceed.
Okay. With which first?
Whatever you, AP,
All right.
I think, is what
Okay.
we're supposed to do.
We have a changeover at National. Frank Koch is stepping down as the National AP Chair. Ray has taken over as of 1st of this month, Ray Persing. He is currently in the Air Force, I believe it is. He's got a couple more years till he's retiring, but he is also up in the Ohio area. We're seeing a handover right now from one to the other, so I do not have certs printed to hand out at this meeting, but we didn't have anybody at this meeting that had one coming, so that kind of works out. So as long as they get it to me by next week, I'll be happy. We've got 2 over in D3 that have gotten some, and I've got 1 guy down in Division 4 who has gotten his scenery. And so we'll be mailing those out, or I'll be mailing one of them out and providing the other 2. For those of you who are turning in paperwork now, you guys have seen this before. If you haven't, basically the idea is you get it to me by the 20th. I turn it into National. National gets everything approved. I get a copy of the report, usually within about a week to 10 days, something like that. And then they drop everything in the mail, and I usually have your certs by this meeting. So hopefully next month I'll have them. Sir? I think that's the reason why I don't have certs yet for this month so far. But there's been a bit of a lag that's kind of happened over the last 3 months. So,
You stepped up on the national for something and just be very.
I had my hat in the ring and had my name in the ring for it. So they went a different direction. So we'll see.
They only had 1 Richardson. So.
Yeah, maybe they hit their quota. It's like, oh God, not them again. But it's suffice to say, it looks like we're going to have a banner month in here, guys. I really do appreciate the work. I know Mike does. I know Mike's been beating the bushes and probably driving y'all batty. So if you do the paperwork, he gets off your back. So there's a light at the end of that tunnel, and it's not an oncoming express.
I'll verify that.
Yeah, there you go. But seriously, I mean, you talk to Crumpton, you talk to Daryl, who's working on the process. You talk to Mike Ross, you talk to Mike, and I'll even myself and all the other guys who have gone through this. Jim will tell you the same thing. This will make you a better modeler. You will stop settling for that will do. You'll take it apart, you'll fix it, you'll do it better. and it will in the end give you a better model to show off. So I really encourage you guys, if you want to get better at this, I mean, seriously get better at it, come talk to us and let's help you kind of develop a plan. Golden Spike's a great way to get into this. It's kind of like weed. It's the gateway drug to the achievement program. But you don't have to have anything judged. You just have to show, I've done this amount of work. You display it. We go, yep, tick all the boxes. You sign it. I give you a certificate. It's that simple. It's the rest of the ones where you're going to have to do a little bit more work. We're going to have to evaluate it. We're going to rank it, give you a score. And you've heard me say this before, 87.5 out of 125. There's 125 possible points. 87.5 out of that is 70%. If it's a C- or better, you qualify.
Mediocre model.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's literally all MMR means is you're certifiably average. We've done the work. It's like Big Bang Theory. I'm not crazy. My mom had me tested.
Yeah.
But at any rate, as far as AAP goes, so you want to slide into some show and tell?
Sure.
Okay. I got a couple things this month. Jared's working on his railroad and was going out of town and going up into the area where he's going to be modeling. And he had asked about using the dirt sieves. I have mentioned these on a couple of occasions. I have gone out, when I bought these, they were $125 for the set. They're now over $200. You're only going to need these probably once in your modeling lifetime, maybe twice. Don't go spend the money. These are very handy to have. I've spent the money already. You want to sieve some dirt, let me know. We'll get together and we'll take care of it. This will do 6 different grades, actually 7, because what you get down here is dust. I mean, you sneeze real good, it's gone. But this down here is a weathering powder. You can take that dust and put it up on the bottoms of your cars. You put them around the bottom perimeter of your buildings, and it ties the freight equipment and the buildings to the land that it's living in. This starts off as boulders, and it just works in finer and finer and finer grades. And we're actually going to demonstrate that here in just a second. Another one, if you don't have one of these, yeah.
Is that more fine than the one that's built for gold panning?
This is essentially almost the same thing. This,
Because I don't think I spent that much on mine.
this one I bought from a forestry supply company, and this is stuff that geologists will buy to sieve stuff out.
So it's
Yeah.
probably, I think that the mesh is probably much thinner at the bottom.
Oh yeah, the very bottom one's really, really uber fine.
I'm sure that mine, just a similar stack, but they're not made out of the same material.
Yeah.
They were $100.
The
Yeah.
bottom one's like sifting through a piece of silk.
Yeah,
Right.
it really
But
is.
I just wanted to get to the point where I could bring the stuff home, and then I could finish it.
Yeah.
That's what I was.
Yeah. Yeah, go up to Colorado, take a 5-gallon bucket and a shovel and come home and spend some time. And it goes really quick. Before we jump into a live demo on that.
The soil that's around Tower 55 back here on the layout, Jay Waters and Jerry Fussell and I went down to Tower 55 area, took a shovel with us in a 5-gallon bucket. It's sitting back there actually, and got dirt, probably 25 yards from where the old tower sat. Brought it back here, and I've got a sifter set also. So the soil that's around Tower 55 is Tower 55 dirt, actually. So we, kind of dare anybody go, the dirt doesn't look right. Yes, it is.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Yeah, it is. And but anyway, so it comes in handy if you're doing an area that you can go get the soil from. Make your own soil instead of buying soil off a shelf somewhere.
Yeah. The only disadvantage is it's always going to look a little darker in your room than it does in real life outside, because we're never going to get the lumens you get with the sun. So you got to compensate a little bit for that, but it is kind of nice having the colors be correct. You can, if you know somebody that lives wherever it is you're building your railroad, they can actually put 5 gallons worth of dirt into a bucket and ship it to you. It's not exactly cheap. Your mailman will want to know what it is you're doing. Ask me how I know this. Yeah, exactly. So we're going to do a live demo here in a second. The other thing I want to show you guys here real quick is this little guy right here. It is a hobbyist heat gun. I've got a regular heat gun, and I can tell you from personal experience, if you don't get it on and get it back off again, you will melt whatever it is you're trying to soften up. This thing here gets hot quick enough. I was straightening out some 3D printed passenger cars that we'd run across at the SN3 symposium, and she'd shipped them to me with a rubber band around it. Yeah, that did not do so well. So I was able to salvage the 4 car bodies, but she's having to send me 4 roofs. But this right here, $8 on Amazon, and you can have it tomorrow. This is also good for helping you speed dry paints and things like that too. So you might give that a look.
You're shooting acrylic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, works. Yeah, heat shrink tubing. Yeah, works like a champ on that stuff too. And a lot of this, being a little bit smaller, you can actually get it into a few places. If you're up working underneath your layout, sometimes a big heat gun, you may not be able to get it in there without burning you and whatever else is around you. But this guy here works real well.
What did you ask for when you ordered?
I literally looked up hobby heat gun, and that one and 30 others popped up.
Sometimes it's in Boston.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mike's wife does acrylic cups. They actually use that. When I got the box, it was talking about using it for that to help cure the epoxy. So lots and lots of uses. You can hold on to it from the outside. It doesn't get hot or anything like that, but it gets hot up here relatively quickly. So I've had it for 4 or 5 days now. I've been playing around with it and loving every minute of it. So
What temp does it get?
It's 300 watt. 300 watt.
this one's let's see, 110 volt, 50 hertz, 300 watts. So it gets pretty warm. I don't have an exact temp for it. The eBay or the Amazon listing may have that in there, but I don't know off the top of my head. Just, I know I wouldn't want to leave it on something any longer than I had to. So let's get your dirt. So all you do with these things, and so that's the biggest mesh there is on it. That's going to be boulders basically for HO, and it goes all the way down. And like you said, it's kind of like sifting through a piece of silk.
This site visit allegedly occurred.
Yeah, allegedly. I like that. No. Oh, this is going to be mostly big stuff. Okay. So all you're going to do is put your dirt in. I don't fill it up. I want room for everything to kind of sift around in, give it some room to bounce around a bit. In his case, we're going to do the whole thing. I gotta tell you, those are, you don't need any of those. You can pick through a lot of the bigger ones and dump those out because those aren't going to go anywhere. It'll save you a little bit of effort. But, all right, so let's, and then literally, you pick the whole stack up and go. You're done. So now you have this stack. You have this stack. Let's see. Let me, put it under the camera here. So there's all the big stuff that was left in the top. Here's everything that was big enough to fall through, but not big enough to get through that one. So these are still pretty good sized rocks in HO.
7.5 inch gauge
What would that be in HO?
Giant.
12 inches?
Yeah, about a foot.
Okay.
Then here's your next level. And even that's.
Do they have mesh numbers on the screen?
Yes.
Okay, what that is the number of openings per inch.
Yeah.
So you're trying to figure out.
Yeah, so like this one is 500 microns. It's number 35 mesh. So there's that level. There's your next level.
That's about HO ballast size, truthfully.
Yeah, because I like using in-scale ballast.
Yeah.
You could use that for dirt.
Gravel, parking lot.
Yep. Then you have regular dirt.
Coming down to dirt size here.
Yep. And what's left in there is dust, and that's just weathering material.
Yep.
But it's,
Can't get any faster than that.
yeah, it goes really quick. Have you got different bags to put these in?
I have several. Maybe we can
Okay.
scrounge up some more.
Yeah. I'll stack these back up.
So I also, just go to Home Depot and buy a bag of granite. Take it home and use it in there.
Yeah,
Trips to Colorado.
yeah, decomposed granite. Yeah, depending on what color you're looking for. Yeah.
The color was okay, but,
Yeah, I've actually done a lot of scenery material out of decomposed granite.
unsanded gravel or anything.
Yeah.
I really like it.
Yeah, no joke. And it comes in all kinds of colors, and you can get it pretty cheap, you know. If you have a Habitat for Humanity store where they're selling off leftovers and stuff like that to help raise money, a lot of times now it's hit or miss as to what colors they'll have, but man, you can get grout cheap. And so I'm going to set this over here. We'll.
Thank you, Dwayne.
You bet.
One of the things, if you need to have one on your own, I found this years ago on Amazon. I've had it for quite a long time, and it actually came with 4 screens. This is about $30 nowadays. You can drop each screen in and sift that one into a bucket, and then you can change out. This is the second screen. The first one, I'll have to see what gauge these are compared to yours. Larger one, smaller one, and then a really, really fine one.
Yep.
So you can end up with pretty much dust after this one as well. But these, yeah.
And so that they look stacking like gold band.
Yeah.
And I just looked at it, you get like a, I don't think mine's 9, I think it's 7. 9 is a 7.
Yeah. This was like $30, $35.
I don't think those is fine, but I've got lots of other screens.
Yeah, they sell some sets that are plastic ringed. And for what we're doing with them, you're not going to be out there 8 hours a day sifting through stuff at an archaeology dig. So they would be fine for what we're doing. But I figured if I was going to go ahead and spend the money, I'd rather have a good set and know that, we can, help each other out with these things. So like I say, if you've got some dirt you want to strain through, let me know and remind me to bring them, and I'll throw them in the car, and we can sit up here after a meeting one day and sieve it down. You'll be shocked at how fast you can sieve down 5-gallon bucket worth of dirt.
Yeah.
And
that's nice that they just stack.
Yeah, like I say, you stack the whole thing up, and you saw me. I shook it back and forth about half a dozen times.
Yeah.
And usually 4 to 6 shakes will get you everything you want. So it runs through pretty quick, and it's a nice way to come up with all kinds of different scenery material. And you store them separately, so you can come back in and start putting down this one and put down a little. You start with the big stuff, and you work your way down when you're doing your scenery, and then you come back in with the little light, the stuff that came out of the second to the bottom one, and you just put that over a little bit of everything, and then come back in and put down your whatever scenery cement material you want to use as an adhesive. I like matte medium, diluted matte medium, and rubbing alcohol myself, but white glue, just for what it's worth, if you ever find a spot where you're putting down white glue in your scenery and one or the other applications of the liquid causes it to build a little puddle and it pushes the foam out of the way or your ballast out of the way, that white glue can dry and leave a shiny spot. And then you have a iced covered pond that you get to explain in the middle of your July setting. So I tend to use matte medium for mine. It's a little more expensive, but you always get a dead flat result out of it. So, but that's all I got.
Okay, is this your?
Nope.
One of the other things that I found is on the internet. Actually, my wife found them and said, "These look like these might work for you." This is let's see if we can get it up here. It's a wooden stick, and on one end it has 120 grit, and on the other end, this is the 120, and on the other end it has 280 grit. And as you can see, they have a taper to the end. So they're round, but they have a tapered end. And they're actually pretty good for working around corners and things where you have a hard to get a piece of paper, sandpaper in or whatever. Now, 280, it's going to be pretty aggressive, but really and truly, it's not bad if you want to start off with that to smooth a part out in the 280. But these were like $10 for 30 of them at Amazon, so they're not bad. Sanding sticks. This says sanding sticks, double-ended matchstick sanding sticks. So they come in a box like that. Anyhow, that's the other thing. Who's got the holders for the? Is this you?
I've got a video.
Oh, okay. And then who's got the? You've got a structure. Okay, we'll get show and tell in just a minute. And then. You got show and tell, is that what yours is? Okay. Who's got the bottles of glue and stuff up here?
I do.
Okay, you want to tell us about those? We've got Tower 55 dirt on the table now.
So this idea was born from knocking these bottles over one too many times.
Nobody.
Brand new bottle, knocked it over I had to solve the problem. So I started looking around the house, and I just finished a sprinkler project. Had a lot of sprinkler pipe left over. This particular diameter is 1 1/4.
Okay.
And it just happened to fit perfectly with this bottle. Just got lucky. So I cut a couple of lengths. Well, I glued it together first and cut the lengths so I could do both bottles at once. And then I cut them at the same time so they'd be flush. And I simply glued it to a piece of plastic. And I don't knock it over anymore. Ta-da.
Nice.
So then I got fancy. And I thought, gee, if I could see the entire label, wouldn't that be cool? So I very carefully sliced it on a table saw, which I don't recommend that you do. Because what happens, and I didn't know this, is once you do that, when you make a cut, the first cut, it actually changes shape. It contracts. So I put the bottle in and it wouldn't fit. And so when I made this, I had to put a brace in between to spread it out and then glue it. Not worth the hassle. So
just make them shorter.
Yeah, just make them short enough that you can read perhaps what it is if you don't know what the colors are, to differentiate between the two. And there you have it, plain and simple.
Okay. All right. We have several show and tells today. I'm going to let you start here because this was just clever.
Like that?
Yeah.
Let me go over there.
Yeah. Here.
So at the last meeting, I had a conversation with Jay, who's not here today. That's a shame. And we were talking about my backdrop. And the layout had been on display during the convention. And one of the things that some people were curious about was the backdrop. I'm not a good painter at all. And I do have some mountains with little specks of green on them, so represent distant trees. But for the intermittent distance, and I don't know, I can't take credit for it. Maybe I can, I don't remember. But rubber stamps, which have, I'm going to pass some of these around, have detail on them. That's some fine detail. And then you have some individual trees that look like that. And it didn't photograph well. This is one of those things that's sort of like modern painting, that it looks better at a distance than when you get up close. So I wanted to photograph the backdrop, and most of the areas didn't photograph well because you're really too close. But when you stand away in the layout, it looks great. But here's a photograph.
Oh, turn around. Backwards.
Here we go.
There you go.
These are trees. These are actually from the stamps, and the color matched up. I also have a little quick thing that, again, this isn't how it was on the layout. If I had to do it again, I might have, but that's with various stamps and various colors, so you can get some fading. So this takes the place of your artistic ability, and it's in between doing a photograph and painting. Now, if you go to at least the Michaels on Overton, whatever it is, you won't find these stamps. All of these were bought over a period of several years in Santa Fe, New Mexico, of all places. And I just thought it was a wonderful way of doing some backdrop without any artistic ability. And as I said, if you're in the layout looking, it's very impressive. The photographs are not as impressive because it's sort of impressionistic stuff. So I thought it was great.
Very clever.
I'm sure online.
Yeah.
This dates back years and years before online was really a very prominent thing. But again, they're cheap, and I've used both. This is mostly with ink stamp. Most of the ones on the layout, I took acrylics and brushed them and then sort of dry brushed a little bit. If you have too much pigment on here, it just becomes a blob. Now, sometimes a blob is great, but sometimes you want a little more detail. So just thought this was a good tip.
Very clever.
You have a little bit of artistic talent that you're not giving yourself credit for, because it would be very easy to make that look like just a street farm or something.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the piece of paper looks great.
Yeah. Anyway,
Very clever.
Very good.
Very clever, okay.
Neat idea.
All right, you want to show us
If someone else wants to share quick.
David, you want to, he's got, what, you got a video to show us here?
Yeah, just presentation. Just pull that.
Okay.
Someone called me the other day and said, Gary, we haven't seen any updates lately about your layout. What's getting done? So I thought, well, here's an update of what I've done in the last 15 months. The layout was started in January of last year. You might say, well, that's 18 months away, but I took 3 months of traveling hither, thither, and yon. So that's why it says 15 months. And theoretically, I'm going to be able to, there we go. So this is January 3rd. I started with a bare room, nothing in it. All the bench work was built on full-size plans that I printed out in 45-foot sheets of paper and assembled the bench work. My brother came out from California and helped put in the LED lighting and the valance. So we went from, there was nothing in the room at all, no lighting, no nothing, and I put the carpet in. In the meantime, now I've got the main yard done. It's 45 feet long, and this is the west end of the yard and the east end of the yard. There's little slide switches in those white holes. Those are bezels I made out of 1-inch coupling, sprinkler couplings. And that controls the tortoise switch machines. Speed Mueller helped me with Arduino control for the yard. So both ends of the yard tracks are controlled that way, and that's up and working, and everything is wired. I started this last week to run locomotives and took one of each class and thought, oh, good. Well, let's see, I hadn't cleaned the track since I put it in. The locomotives have been in boxes for over 5 years, some longer than that. So this next week, before I go on vacation, we're celebrating my 78th birthday. I'm going to take the locomotives apart and lubricate them. This is a Gerber Y. Gerber did not have a turntable. Everything was turned on the Y. Best investment I made, $800 for a swing gate. Originally, for the layout, it was going to be a duck under. And boy, I'll tell you, being able to open that gate and bring materials in and everything else. And I'd probably go in and out 20 times a day or more. So that was a good investment.
Did you make the swing gate, Gary, or did you purchase it somewhere?
I purchased it from ELS, and it was $800. But looking at the materials, I checked it out with all the couplings and everything. It probably would have cost me $500 just to buy the materials, and it was well worth it. Yeah, if you've got a duck under and can figure out how to make a gate work, I'd highly recommend spending it on this rather than a couple of locomotives. I made this dimmer so I could save my battery. Let me get it brighter so I can see what's on there. This is Proberta. It's the only area that I have any scenery on. I did that prior to the August convention because I was on tour mainly for the layout SIG, and I wanted to show a little bit of something that was finished. Whoops, going the wrong way. This is Red Bluff. I finished wiring that, and it's up and operational now. I just set some buildings there to get kind of a feel for that end and what would fit, because originally I was going to have a stream going through there, and I thought, uh-oh, the stream doesn't fit. This is Cottonwood, and this is the way it looked yesterday morning, and I finished the slideshow and thought, okay,
Well, good. Everything's wired, but the fascia's not up, and then I have to fasten everything into the fascia. These are the parts. All the track is down. All the feeders are on. Tom Pearson came over, and we spent a couple of days just putting feeders in, and so that makes it easier, but nothing's hooked up to the bus yet. No tortoises put in yet. So this is the layout altogether, and you can kind of orient it to the slides I just shared. The buildings, the interior dimensions are 44 by 25 feet. Tom put together my programming track for me. Couldn't get the computer that was packed away. It didn't want to, for some reason, hook up to the display. I think maybe there must be a battery in it or something from sitting there for 5 years. So I just hooked up a laptop temporarily. But there will be actually 2 computer screens because I generate switch list in real time using JRMI. There's a fast clock, also a phone system is being installed. This is, I try to make the layout user-friendly, so I try to have everything on the surface of the layout, on the fascia, that you might need to know, directions, and it's a switch list up there. Up above on the above the layout on the valence, I'm putting diagrams such as this one of Red Bluff. At Red Bluff, I've already drawn in where all the buildings are, and I've just written on the plywood what that is and numbered the spots. So I am getting ready for operation. I hope to have things up and running for everything except the staging yard by November. Then I showed you Cottonwood yesterday morning. This is yesterday afternoon. I've got the rest of the fascia put in, and there were parts that I did not have connected at the ends of the layout. In any place I had a river, and so there were 5 different places where I didn't have track there. And so yesterday I put temporary track in that I can remove. Somewhere I have my parts for bridges and stuff packed away, and I haven't found that yet. And I thought, well, this way I can get things started. I also put up a caddy to hold the throttles. I found that with operations, my operators would leave the throttles all over the place. So I built a caddy so I can quickly see, are they all here before anyone leaves? So anyway, that's, oh, and this morning I got a note. I took this photo of the LD SIG journal last August at the convention because they were supposed to have an article out on my layout. Well, this morning in my mailbox, there it is. It's 17 pages long. But this is the picture of the cover that I took at the convention. I haven't gotten around to, I saw the proof of the article, but I haven't downloaded the magazine yet. If you're not a member of the LD SIG, it's only $10 for 4 issues. And it's been 2 years since the last issue came out, so my membership lasted a long time. But I don't know whether it's health problems or what that slowed down their publication. An advantage of being a member of the LD SIG is that at conventions, generally they have their own layout tours, and we had that at the National. So for $10, you get four magazines over a period of 1 year or 2 years. It's supposed to come out quarterly, but both that local conventions and the national convention, often they have a separate layout tour from other tours. And if you want to kind of follow along on what I'm doing on my layout, southernpacificlayout.com, and I try to keep the blog up to date, showing my progress. And I was at Panda Express on Monday and opened the fortune cookie, and that's what was in it. So, and yeah, I thought that was really good. I showed my wife the other day. For some reason, they gave me 2 fortune cookies. The other one that I opened said, save more, spend less. I threw it in the trash. Anyway, thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. Let's see, Eric? We got a bunch of good show and tell today.
David, I'm going to need
Very nice. Thank you.
I did. You hooked up.
Here we go. Okay, I don't know how many of y'all have in the past gone to a hobby store or a train store and found these old Campbell models that, you know, are from years past, right? You know, Campbell stopped making their model kits in 2002 when the company was sold.
It's a block of wood and a razor blade.
And the inside of these kits, like this particular one, it's got these huge, giant sheets on how to build and where to put all the stuff and everything. But then when you actually get in, like this particular one, all of the side pieces and everything is a piece of cardboard. And there's wood in there. And so, but I started looking through this kit and I looked completely, you know, I spent, you can't read that on there, but I spent $35 on the kit somewhere. And there's no copyright notices on their kit. Even on the instruction sheets, there's no copyright notices. So I started thinking to myself, this is the Richmond Barrel Company. And when I was over at Discount Model Trains this week, James over there, I was mentioning this, and James said, yeah, what Mr. Campbell would do is he would go to people's layouts out in California and he'd take pictures of structures that they had scratch built. And then he would go home and he would recreate them in kits and then sell them as kits. So this was probably some Mr. Richmond's Barrel Company off of his layout. So I like this particular kit, and I'm using this kind of as a stepping stone to get to where I can take a fine scale miniature kit, which is like a gazillion pieces in that same little box compared to the number of pieces in this, and to try to take wood and cardstock models into plastic. So this was my first venture into that, because this one also had, or has, well, this one has all metal siding for pretty much everywhere in it. So I don't know if you can see that on the video, but it, here, I can do it up here. You know, and that's trying to generate a tin roof and tin roof siding in plastic. And so this was my first attempt at taking that model and putting it into plastic. But at the same time, this is in HO, I just decided, well, hey, I can print that same model. Yeah, you can't really see that. Hang on.
No, you can.
I can print that same model in scale just by scaling it down. But I can print it in colors when I do it, you know. And so I've got HO kit and in-scale kit just based upon the original drawing. And so anyway, this, I'm actually probably going to put this one up for sale on the website before too long. The thing is that I'm going to name it the Campbell Barrel Company instead of the Richmond Barrel Company. Right.
Eric, on an aside, I was in Durango last month, and I met with Andy Says. You've heard of Says Lumber? And Campbell, there's two Says Lumber kits. Well, he was Will Campbell's best friend, and he was telling me that Campbell would name all the kits after a friend. And that's how it says. So Richmond's probably
a friend too.
Yeah.
And the other interesting thing is when he sold the company in 2002, he sold it all the
intellectual property or whatever to another guy named Campbell. So
it's still Campbell.
So it's still Campbell, but.
So they were making kids until last year. You could
Well.
get brand new kids last year.
Well.
Moved out there that Medford was working at part-time.
Okay.
Making kids, and they worked
Right.
the rest of the time
Did-
they worked at microchannels.
Did they put any copyright notices
It was
on?
exactly the same plans they'd always made.
Okay.
I don't think there was a new kit made in the, definitely not the 21st century.
Yeah.
Probably not in the second half of the 20th
Yeah.
century.
Jeff?
Yeah, you might want to be aware that what Leo did was take a lot of the kids and stuff that were being done on a railroader. So actually, copyright lost the top.
Okay, well, whoever bought Kalmbach now, but yeah. And depending on their age, because copyrights are only good for 75 years.
When you make
So,
your first $1 million, when you make your first $1 million selling that kit, they're going to knock down the
yeah, I'll probably make about $100 max over the lifetime of, owning this as a kid. But anyway, that was for show and tell.
All right, thank you. And who has the section of track up here with rail storage? All right. Very, very clever. I like it.
Thanks. Hey. Hello? Okay. I model the Oyster Bay branch of the Long Island Railroad. And part of Long Island Railroad, as many of you know, is largely electrified, has been since the early 1900s. The Oyster Bay branch is partially electrified, partially steam, and now diesel. January-February issue of Railroad Model Craftsman had an article on modeling third rail. And it's something I always wanted to try, but I was, how? And the article was an inspiration for me. So whenever I do a technique I've never done before, I do a little piece, a little mock-up, if you will. And fortunately, Pico, for those who don't know, much of, if not all of the London Underground, which is their version of the subway, and the Overground, which is kind of like our commuter rail, is actually 4-rail electric, except where it's diesel, of course. 2 running rails, a conductor rail, and a ground rail. In America, we don't have 4-rail, we have third rail, which is either what's called underrunning, where the third rail shoe runs under the third rail, the shoe is connected to the locomotive or the MU car, or overrunning, where it runs above. Since I model Long Island Railroad, they use an overrunning third rail. Of course, Pico is an English company, since, so as I said, the underground and part of the overground is electric. Pico makes what are called,
There's a camera.
we have a camera?
Yeah.
Here we go. Pico makes, where are we?
Yeah, scoot it on the centered up one. You can see right here.
And I'm trying to figure out,
Yeah.
orient.
There you go.
These are easy to see up here. Third rail shoes, actually called conductor chairs. And the chair, the rail goes through the chair, like this. Pretty unique, pretty ingenious, I mean. Now, the guy from RMC used this. In the mock-up that I made,
What was the material of that?
plastic, styrene. This is styrene.
So you're never going to get any electricity.
Beg your pardon?
You're not going to get any electricity through it.
Well, you're not supposed to. It's just meant to hold the third rail. It's a chair. It's a chair. All right?
It's like a sleeve.
Exactly. So the running rails are, this is Pico Code 83. Pico makes, for their Z-scale stuff, Code 60. That conveniently fits right through the chair. That's what this chair was designed for. Pico Code 60 rail. The guy in RMC used microengineering Code 70. I couldn't get any of that. I had a piece of Pico Code 70. That didn't work. So I said, the heck with it, and I ordered some code 60. Naturally, if you ever bought anything other than Amazon lately, shipping costs more than the product. What are you going to do? I had to get these from England. Trust me, the shipping cost a lot more than the product, but it is what it is.
Now, that third rail, is that upside down? We're looking at the bottom of the rail here on top.
No, you're looking at, yes.
Yeah, the rail head is down in the chairs.
Correct, in the chairs. Okay. Now, one of the things so you've got your third rail, and I didn't model it the entire length. You've got what's called a cover board. So nobody electrocutes themselves touching the third rail. In England, they don't use a cover board. But people there, for the most part, aren't stupid enough to try to cross the tracks on electrified track.
You won't do it but once.
Oh, that's right. You only get away with it once. And the cover board is held in place by bracket. Where's the camera? Oh, well, by brackets.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, one of the things that I'm a stickler on, no pun intended with my name, is if I'm modeling something that's prototype, I want to have the prototypical dimensions. And I drove myself crazy trying to find how far is the third rail from the running rail, how high up is the cover board, etc. Thanks to the New Haven Railroad Historical Technical Association, organization, NHRT Association. For those who don't know, New York Central uses an underrun and now Metro North, an underrunning third rail, where the rail, the shoe is under the rail. Long Island Railroad uses an overrunning. NHRT, because the New Haven Railroad partially ran on New York Central rails to get to Grand Central Terminal, GCT, NHRHTA had specs from some journal from the 1920s. Everything everyone wanted to know about the dimensions for third rail installation. It was a godsend. So what I did was I started how far away is the third rail from the running rail? Where do I install the chair? Well, this information showed me the tie length is 9 feet 6 inches. Well, this is 8 scale feet, so I had to cut an extension on a piece of 0.080 square styrene of 1.6 scale feet. Well, I cut it a little longer just to make it easier to do some drilling. And the third rail chairs were every 5th tie. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. So I used a 64 drill bit, and because that's what, if you look at these at the bottom, right, you can see the part that the rail fits in. At the bottom is a little sticks out like a little peg, and it calls for a 64 drill bit. So I used the 64 drill bit, drilled all the way through the extension, and that's where the chairs were going to be. Now, getting the chairs on the rail was fiddly, and I broke a number of about a half a dozen. Fortunately, there were 200 in a package, thank goodness, because I would cut these out, and this is HO, okay? This is tiny, and I don't have tiny hands, and they shake anyway. So I'm trying to feed the rail through this thing, and of course, these blow out of your hands, you never find them, okay? Most of us have problems, that's a problem. And how the hell did this guy do it in RMC? So it dawns on me, I don't have an engineering background. I was a liberal arts major in college, okay? I'm a lawyer professionally, and I don't think like an engineer, not a trained civil engineer. But So I left this on the workbench, and I took the rail, and I stuck it through, and it went right in. And then I clipped it off, keeping the bottom. And I put a half a dozen of these on the rail. Okay. So after I had drilled the 64, with the 64 drill bit into the tie extensions, I put one of the chairs in the hole, drop or two of ACC onto the next one. Never occurred to me, hey, you got to line the third rail up with the running rail. Fortunately, after the ACC dried on the chairs, I was still able to move the third rail. Otherwise, I was going to throw the whole thing out of a window because it was very fiddly to get to this point. All right, once that was done, and this is before I put on the cover board, went out to the garage, Rust-Oleum Camo Brown on everything, and then take it off the top of the rail. The cover board is scale 2x8 basswood. I stained it with, I tried a number of different stains, India ink, etc. Couldn't get anything that looked realistic. I had books with prototype pictures, and some guy on Facebook said, hey, try Micromark tie and bridge stain. And it worked like a charm. I cut several pieces, 1 coat, 2 coat, 3 coats, compared it with the pictures, 1 coat worked best. Next, how high does it have to be off the third rail? It's scale 6 inches. Like I said, I'm kind of a stickler about that. So what I did, 0.33 is 6 scale feet, close enough to 0.35 styrene. I took one of the pieces of basswood, and now this piece is glued, just so you see here. Put it on a piece of 0.035 styrene. I put it on top, and again, here it's on a running rail, but I put it on the third rail. Well, here. I laid it on, which way do I need to move this? This way. Oh, there you go. I laid it over the third rail, used alligator clips to hold it on the third rail. Then, the guy in RMC used brass, a little sheet brass that he cut, blah, blah, blah. Way too complicated for me. Staples. I just use staples. Now, staples like a U. I clipped off one leg, and obviously this is a piece of foam. First, I put all the staples on a separate foam block and painted it with the camo brown. When that dried, I stuck it into the foam the right distance. Now, notice it's not where the chairs are. The right distance so that it would press up against the cover board. AC seated in place. Let it dry for a few hours. And when it was dry,
pulled out the spacer.
I pulled. This is going to be the death. There we go. When it was dry,
there you are.
I pulled out the spacer, and that's 6 scale inches. When I pulled out the spacer, some of the staples, oh, it's my wife. Go away, woman. A couple of the staples came loose. Fortunately, not all of them. Otherwise, it would have gone straight out the window. More ACC, and that was that. Once everything had dried, that's when I used some Scenic Express dirt Woodland Scenic Ballast, Woodland Scenic's ground cover. This is Martin Welberg Tufts, Woodland Scenic's weeds, etc. To finish it off. It was like all of us who have built stuff for the first time or later time. It was frustrating. It was fun. My wife said she didn't know I knew so many curse words. I said, "Woman, we've been together 50 years. I can't surprise you anymore." She said, "No, you did. You did." The only thing I'm going to do when I actually build this on the layout, I'm getting thicker staples, because these are actually 2 staples. And Dr. Walters said, "Why didn't you just super glue them together?" Well, that makes way too much sense, and I would just rather buy a thicker staple next time. But it's a real fun project, and anyway, this is how it came out. And when I look at some prototypical pictures, when you get out past the stations, et cetera, out in the suburbs, this is pretty much what it looks like. So this was a lot of fun. This is a lot of fun. If I was going to do an article about it for Model Railroad Hobbyist, but given that an article just came out in RMC about it, and it's basically the same technique, it's like, oh, look, I can do it too. So I'm not going to do that.
So you're thinking that the prototype was actually easier to build than this?
You better believe it.
Yeah.
Because it's designed for bigger fingers, the prototype. Anyway, that was, I just wanted to show everybody.
Thank you, sir.
It's a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun doing it.
All right, thank you. He didn't line up. Am I back on? Blue? I'm green. He didn't line up coal, rash.
Yes.
Bring your tree up here. And besides the tree, which I think is just unique, Cole has some 3D printed items that he's bringing up here also that he's going to start selling. But anyway, I want to show you these trees.
So.
Microphone.
It's coming, don't worry.
There you go.
All right. So I found a file of tree parts where it prints off individual limbs and has stumps and everything with it. Well, I just started gluing them together and it makes a nice little tree.
So that's FDM kind?
Resin.
Okay, so that's like a clear resin.
Yes. It's a clear ABS-like resin. So each tree will come out different. It's like a tree in a kit.
And where do you find these trees?
I couldn't tell you where I found the file. I don't remember if I even bought it or it was free or. If I find the link, I'll send it out.
Show it under the camera.
I wonder if you can get brown resin.
I've got one back there that I just spray painted brown, and it looks pretty good. I need some dry brushing on it, and then some polyfiber and flocking, and it'll.
I think if you want to do it
Cool.
I'm sorry?
How did you apply it to the brass wire?
Oh, to the toothpick?
That's toothpick.
It's a toothpick. I just drilled a hole in the bottom and glued a toothpick in it.
You glue it like with ACC?
JB Weld light cured glue, because I'm impatient and don't
That's
have to
ACC.
wait for it.
That stuff's great.
Especially if you have an ultraviolet laser, because then you can cure half the dot of glue if you want, and then continue moving the part and glue the rest. But it sets it instantly instead of having to hold the light for a second.
Like a little laser. Like something you hold in your hand.
Yeah. Dwayne, grab my laser out of that box.
And are you using JB Weld's
The
stuff?
JB Weld.
It's good glue. I've still got some stuck to this finger.
It will. It works.
if you let it sit, it'll work just like super glue. But with the light cure, you can, hit it real quick.
The container itself wants to glue its lid to itself.
Yeah, when it gets down to the end, it will.
Full with a broken out lid.
Don't leave it outside. So this ultraviolet laser was like $20 on eBay. It is powerful. I mean, it looks like a lightsaber at night. Yeah, I use this instead of the LED because I can adjust the tip of it and make it fine or big, whatever I want. But it will set it instantly, where the LED that comes with the light cure, you have to hold it for a second. This, you hit it and it's smoking.
Cool.
And then,
We're doing like a winter scene, that tree is.
well, and also a side thought, the smaller branches would make good icicles
Yeah.
for our building.
I see a lot of potential in that. That's really.
And then I've got this D7 dozer.
Camera? There you go.
And as well as a Farmall tractor.
You printed those also?
Yes.
And lost the files.
I've actually got some of these back there for sale. $5
Did you draw
each.
those?
Yes. And then Laura Croft.
Tomb Raider.
Tomb Raider. Iron Man.
These are gaming figures. You can get these
And
online.
a fat Batman.
Fat Man. I
Yeah.
like some of this Fat Man.
So.
Or Batman.
Cool.
Anyways.
Yeah, Batman, the later years. Yeah.
So.
Cool. All right, yay. All right, does anybody else have anything? One, oh, Miss Gifford?
Don't forget about the sound off.
I'm gonna go to you on that.
I'll let him go first. I'll let him.
Okay.
This is our pay it forward winner from last year, and this is what he's done to the layout.
And your name?
Since January.
My name is James.
James. All right, James. Show us what you got.
Can I get the overhead?
Yep.
So I got the layout from the raffle back in January, and I've got about 20 pictures, just of brief overview of what we've done, me and my dad, over the 6 months since we've had it.
Now you can use this to steady up.
So this was when we first got it, it was half done, a lot of stuff still in the box. I'm trying to just find where to put it, really. The first thing we did was on the little, the switch going down to the center. We added a little siding onto that. We got our own switch and got that hooked up and the siding in and the cork put in, all that. Then we got some buffers for it, started the ballasting right there in the middle, and just kind of worked our way towards the outside. Yeah. That little part right there was us trying to plan where station would go. That's that.
Is that 8x4?
Yes, it's just a regular piece of plywood.
Yeah, 4x8.
Yeah.
4 modules.
He was the raffle winner.
Okay.
Yeah, then got the curves ballasted and everything.
Cool.
This right here is actually an electric switch that we got set up because it was so far in the center. It's easier than reaching over. Then we painted everything brown and we put some tuff on top of all that. Spilled a little paint on the ballast. Finally got out the gray paint yesterday to cover that up. Then we started putting in all the buildings, getting them lit up. We redid the roads because we added in the station. We got a diner. We got like a grocery store and a comic store. We got all that lit up. We painted in all the gray and the roads, so we repainted all the roads to kind of make them all a little more uniform. And we tried to match, like with using what was in the kits, try to match with all the gravel and stuff, try to keep it all as consistent as possible.
Nice diner.
It's not really focusing, but the diner actually has a full interior with about 5 people in it. And it's all lit up and everything. We got the station lit up. There it goes, now it's focusing. You can see we've got people standing there waiting. We've got people on the benches and everything. That's the whole layout one night with everything lit up.
Nice.
We started working on the other side after we got the little town kind of where we wanted it. So we started working on the farm over here. We put in a barbed wire fence going along the curve of the track, and then we put in the white picket fence in the front. You can't really see it, but on the other side of that house is a little standalone garage that we painted to match the house. Yeah, this is pretty much what it was like a few weeks ago while we were in the middle of working a few weeks ago. We're not really sure what we're gonna do in where this grass is here. We thought about maybe putting a hill right here, but we don't really know what we're doing with that either. We've all been kind of figuring it out as we go. We'd like to put that hill right there and kind of have it flat on top and put like the little start of a park there with some walking trails and a pond and stuff, but like I said, we're figuring out, we'll see.
Very cool.
And then that's just it from the other corner. You can kind of see we put like we got some trees at the show where we run it from John's H.O.N. scale trees.
Yep.
Great trees. We've put some around, like there's one here. And we put some extra cars around. I don't really know how well you can see them. I'm now realizing this is the wrong folder, but that's fine. That's just an engine we got for the layout. I really wanted a steam engine, so.
Yep.
Yeah, here we go.
Nice.
Yeah, we kind of put some trees and flowers around various spots. These trees that we got from John actually just stand up on their own. We didn't have to do anything. We don't have to glue them or anything. Just set them down and you're good. Yeah. I don't remember the brand of flowers we got, but they're also the same. You can kind of see a little bit. They've got a base on them already, so you can just set them down. As long as the ground is level, they stay. That's it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Give me the camera one more time here. I was going to Cole's figures that he did. This is some more figures. This is some I printed in on my printer here. These are all fishermen, actually fly fishermen, and I printed some in O scale and also some in HO scale here. So there's the O scale guys. The print actually came out and the fly rod printed. The actual tiny little fly rod printed along with the reel. And the guy's hand is on the handle. Those in H are in O scale printed. Now the HO scale guys, this is O scale still. The HO scale guys fly rods wouldn't print. It just got too small. So I ended up using 10,000 wire for their rod. I cut a section out of a round wooden toothpick for the reel and painted it silver, and then I put a very thin thread on it. You can see one of them is fishing in the stream up here in the logging camp. So if you want to look in the stream back there by the back bridge, there's one down in the water fishing. But those are some of them that I printed little figures. Resin printers are excellent for just small detail. All right, Deborah.
I'll be quick. I know y'all all need a break. So most of you know I'm a modeler by proxy. I kind of got roped into this. I do the painting and the scenery for our model.
You were drafted.
Yeah. Tricked, more likely. Yeah. Anyway, this is one that I just finished. It's a painting I've done. Getting into the model railroading actually got me back into my painting. And this one's kind of different. I'm very much more into blending than I am into very linear, straight lines. They kind of make me crazy. It messes with my dyslexia, I think. Anyway, but this one I did on wood, on a wood panel, used a light acrylic wash for the background. And then the church itself is done in a water mixable oil. Came out pretty good. I really like the way it turned out. I'm getting ready for a little art fair that I'll be doing in November and trying to get some pieces put together for this, and this is one of them that I'll do. But turned out pretty good.
Yes.
And it does further for those that tell Russell that his weathering is too dark. This is a picture I took in South Dakota of a church going out towards the Badlands. That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
So, thank y'all.
All right. It is 40, so let's say 10. What? Oh, no. David's got one more thing we forgot.
How about we just make an announcement because of time, we'll make an announcement.
Are we gonna sign up
Have
sheet?
them take pictures,
Okay.
and then next D1 meeting we'll actually do the
Okay.
sign off.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, if you'll notice back on my left-hand side, there is a quilt or a throw, roughly 5 foot by 6 foot. Clarence Zink's wife, Deborah, custom made that. All of those railroad blocks that you see came from T-shirts that Clarence had gathered for his wife to make that throw.
David?
Yes, sir?
Okay, turn that mic off. You see a color? Next to the plug.
Hello?
Okay.
Got a green light on.
All right.
Okay.
There you
Can
go.
you hear me now? Okay. The throw is roughly 5 by 6, custom made by Clarence's wife. She has donated that to the club, and take pictures of it, think about it. Next D1 meeting, we're going to have a silent auction for it. Price is going to start at $150, which for a custom-made quilt is very, very reasonable.
Yep.
So if you think you like it or think you might want to have it at home, if you have to get permission from your spouse, whatever it is,
The CFO.
take a picture of it, give yourself until next month, and we'll have a silent auction starting at $150. If we don't sell it, we'll take it to the train show. So thanks, Deborah Zink, for custom making that. Take a picture of it. You got 30 days or so to think about it. Thank you, everybody.
It'd be great for grandkids.
Yeah,
Yes.
there you go.
Or even the old people that fall asleep in the recliner at night.
Russell, how much time do you need to set up?
About 10 minutes.
Okay. We're going to take a 10-minute break, guys. Russ is going to set up and then come back. You'll really like his presentation.
People fall asleep in the recliner.
I did that.
Younger.
I'll go through the whole.
You ready? All right. Hi, guys. One of the things I got interested in model railroading outside the train was wanting to animate things around it. Kind of a car guy as well, but I like to see other things happen. So I got into this system that I've discovered. It's not working? Working? Okay. Got it? Thank you. Called Magnorail. I've looked at several systems. Faller makes one that each car is about $250, so that was out of my budget. So I was looking for something that would work and not be as expensive. The basic system, come in a box like this, costs about $200. And if you have the speed controller, it's about $30. This comes with about 5 foot of track for you to assemble. Now, when I say assembly, I mean it's assembly.
Not your fault.
Check 1, 2.
Good. Daryl. Daryl. Come here.
We'll be back after a moment.
Yeah.
Okay. It says it's on, it's not getting the signal.
There you go.
Not supposed to drop the microphone and pull. Big brother.
We're gonna just do this looking dirty.
That's all right.
No, I just turned it off again. I know, you turned it off. When you gotta wrap up, just use it. Grab a hand.
Yeah.
And that's the on
There we go.
There we go.
Now I can hear myself sing.
Now I got
That's awesome. Anyway, the kit, there's only one place in the United States I've been able to find them. It's a company called Reynolds.com. That's the only place I've been able to find them. Their delivery is a little slow, but you'll get it in about 2 weeks. That's about the turnaround for these guys. Anyway, the Faller kit, really cool because they're fully programmable and do all kinds of stuff, but for this simple setup with the amount of vehicles that I have, I'd be about $2,000 into it, maybe more. So I decided to go this route. So it works real well. It's very basic. But you can motorize pretty much anyway. Let's get started on this. Like I said, you can run boats, cars, train, whatever you want to run on this, you can. There's scenes where I've seen boats and skiers and you name it, it's out there. On our layout, we've got one of these tied together, 2 systems tied together. It's pretty long, and it's also got a 15% grade on it and a corkscrew. But plan it out. Buy the kit, lay it out, take your time with it because it needs to be accurate. That's the best way I could put it. You can't just kind of fudge it. You get to think it out a little bit. But once you kind of get the groove of it, it's not too bad. Next thing you need to figure out if you're going to do below the deck or above the deck. This one's set up above. You can take a router and route your decking out and set it down below her. So it depends on what's height your road surface. You kind of need to figure that out as well. I've seen also in cases where on the below deck, they weren't even using the guide system. They just made a really nice clean groove for it to run in. There's a guy that did a Toyota plant that actually loads cars into autoloaders, or auto racks. And his runs are 30 feet. But he built most of the stuff himself. All right, to start off, you gotta make a hole for the motor mount. Now, as you can see in this one picture right here, everything fits down below like you see down here like this. So if you're going below your layout, you need to make sure you got clearances. You're not going to hit a cross member or electrical, whatever may be in your way. Pretty simple. Get a template, cut it out. Saber saw, no big deal. Also, too, these are the instructions. They're in like German and French and I think some English, but they're good big pictures for a guy like me. I need big pictures. So once the hole's cut, you have a motor mount that goes in there. And the motor mount lives right here. Pardon me, my throat is dry. And the motor mount needs to be solid. Everything on this layout, there's a jillion screws. You're going to need every one of them. So this is this picture here. Several bags. There's a place to put a screw. Use it. Now, I'll start laying track down. I'll sit around some samples of some track so you can kind of see it. It's kind of a soft, not silicone, but it's soft plastic. And it's totally flexible. Like a home layout, I don't use these turnarounds. I'm just using this for radiuses. If you want to look at that.
This is the up.
Top of the track. And what's kind of cool about this is when you put it together, you see these two hooks. It just comes in like this. It snaps together. Well, I'll make it just like that. That's all it takes to put a piece of track together. Now, once you got to figure out where you're going to run it, it's going to be through downtown, up a mountain road, farm, cattle pens, whatever. You start assembling, laying your track out kind of how you want it to go. This one here, I just kind of threw it down there and went, okay, we'll do a little movement in here to make it look like something. But if you notice, every tab on that, as you see, has a screw in it. If you don't, the track will lean this way or that way. It needs to be flat. Flat is important. Make it flat. Now, this is when you put the motor in, be sure to line the holes up. Pretty straightforward. That's the motor mounted. Just 2 screws down, shaft will come up. Now, it's going to have a couple of gears that come on a sprue. You kind of have to do a little work with those as well. Because you see in this picture, right here, that's part off the sprue. So you got to take I use nippers to get as close as I can and take a jeweler's file and clean it up. They don't make anything in this kit where it just install it. You got to do some work to it to make it work. I think that's how they're keeping the cost down. Then once you get your gears in, you got traction tires with just O-rings. And O-rings is what pulls the chain. Now you can go either direction with this. Just reverse the polarity on the motor. You want the cars to go this way or that way, just switch polarities. This is the mess laid out right here. Just kind of showing everything's assembled. Now you'll notice pieces of plastic over these parts right here. If you do not lay a sheet of plastic over the top of this, during your construction, you start running the chain will pop out. Okay, so you have to anchor these areas down. I always leave this area here clear so I can see where the magnets are at. And if I want to add magnets, take magnets away, I just remove these 4 screws and change the magnets around.
So do you only cover it where it's changing direction and it's sharp changing direction?
In the corners, you want it where the corners are at. And like in this bend right here, I was having issues with it popping out as well. You start speeding it up, the chain will just pop out. And we'll talk about the chain here in a little bit. It's a real joy in the chain, it's a lot of fun. So that's how the chain comes to you. Now there's 2 or 3 different sizes, variations, lengths, half lengths, full lengths. There's so many different magnet orientations. They sell different vehicles. Magnorail does. They sell bicycles, push carts, tractors, Jeeps, fit on particular styles of magnets. The two symbols, the two links are like this. And when you take them off the sprue, you're going to have a square end right here. You'll have to file that down. There's your different sizes. You see in that picture out there with a little bit of screw up, I take a piece of, I take an emery board, get it round, and I'm done. But when I link them, there is a hole on one end and a stud on the other. You line up the hole in the stud. You have to put them in about a 90-degree angle. You put them through the hole. I think it's, when you rotate them straight forward, they're now locked in. But the moment they turn about that much, they'll pop out. And that's key when you're putting the chain in the groove. So that's the piece of chain. And you'll see the magnet holes at the top of them. They use a square rare earth magnet. If you run out of magnets, you can get them on Amazon, which I'll talk about that here in a minute. So when you start assembling the links up, you can start making chain. This is what takes more time than anything in the world, is making chain. That's why took me 2 hours to get it mounted, and another 2 hours making chain. So as you're assembling it, you're going to put it in your groove and lock it in. I generally do pieces about this long, because you get any longer than that, they're going to come apart. There's a little bit of finesse to this. It just takes time. Be patient with it. Once you get it all done, it's not that big a deal. So you make the connections like I'm saying, over like this, and you want to keep a little tension on it as you're rolling it in, or it'll come apart. That's these chain retainers I was talking about earlier, these plastic pieces on the end. They don't have to be permanent if your road bed is thick enough. Say if you're using polystyrene or something like that for your road base, you can take those off and replace it with your road base, so you don't have an uneven surface.
Is there a limit of how long the track is?
I've seen one that's 40 feet, and every that's basically 6 feet, has a motor.
Oh, okay.
And then all will tie into one speed controller.
One motor wouldn't do it.
No, this is about all one motor will do.
Just that one side?
That's what's about 5 feet right here, believe it or not, or a little 5.5 feet. But that one,
You have to synchronize the motors, or
this right here does it all for you, right there. So I've got 2 of them set up on our layout, and I've used heavier magnets on it to get things up the hill. If you're flat, you use a lighter magnet and you can run more vehicles. When you're going uphill, even with 2 motors, I use a 3mm magnet that's a little bit stronger, be able to go up and down. They say you can run as many as 6 vehicles on this when it's flat. And if they're making more chain, you'll spend hours making chain. Hours.
how much chain do you have to make it go around this little thing you have here?
It comes with all the chain in the kit that you
I
need.
know, but I mean, how long a piece do you have to make it go around?
The whole length.
Oh, you mean it's
All the way around.
all the way around?
Yes, sir, all the way around. Except you'll make more and more chain like that as you go. Now this is a shot from our railroad at our house. It has a mountain and everything around it now. This is a much older picture. This is a 15% grade coming uphill. It makes a turn. There's a motor here, there's a motor there. Comes around and then does a pigtail around like that, goes back around, makes a circle. I can run about 8 motorcycles on this, or about 8 cars. It runs really, really, really good.
But you have to have a piece of track all the way around.
Yes, sir. Now, like I said, there's some guys, let me get a little short video here and pull it up. I can get my mouse right here. There it is. That's the one at the house right there. It's coming back down. I couldn't get the whole video on here, unfortunately. and it makes the pass around the corkscrew, comes back around. Pretty simple.
Russell, how do your magnets hook onto your chain?
I'm show you.
Is that kind of, okay.
All right, adding magnets. Try to keep this short because I don't want to run long today, so if I'm going to be a little bit brief, please ask me a lot of questions. The magnets go into, if you look at the chain you're seeing, you'll see the square holes.
Yeah.
First thing you need to do is make sure your polarities are the same. If you get one positive, one negative, I'll show you on this, I got to do an example of what it does. So you want to keep them the same. I wish I'd learned this trick a little sooner than what I did. This vehicle right here, I got two small holes here and back here for the slider to fit in, okay? And the slider is this little gizmo right here. This is what goes on the vehicle. The cool thing about doing it this way, I don't have to have magnets on everything. I just have to have a hole, so I can swap the slider out on any vehicle I want. When I first started doing this, I was gluing magnets to the sliders on the cars. And the motorcycles, you kind of have to, the cars you don't. So I ran out of sliders. So I went and bought an assortment of sliders. You can pass that around if you want. And these are the little brass sliders that come. There's ones for bicycles, there's ones for the fruit carts, there's one for the tractors, all different ones. So you just have to arrange it. And in the instruction books, it will explain to you which one fits what. Okay? Now, I'm using one that's kind of universal. I use, it's spaced apart between two pieces of rail. I can run pretty much anything I want to on it that way. I don't have any specialty vehicles but one. For the my layout at all. But gluing the magnets in, once you get the polarity squared away, it's a real simple process. Take a little CA, I put a drop of CA on it, hold it down with aluminum tweezers. There's another thing too you'll learn. Don't use anything metal around this, you'll lose magnets. Chase the magnets, you'll find them into your screwdriver or whatever. Use aluminum or brass. Put pressure on it, a little glue, shoot with a little CA and the magnets on there. Now, once you get all this done and you get it mounted on the vehicle, one thing you want to do on that brass slider is take a fine sandpaper, rough it. Get it really, really smooth. That's the example right there of the two holes. Right here and right there. Any vehicle you want.
Do you have to have a free rolling car? Or?
No. It runs better when the wheels turn, it does, but it don't have to be. I've got a bulldozer I'm going to show you in a minute that runs, and the tracks don't roll.
Would they pull those old trucks, those metal trucks?
They'll pull some pretty good weight. The deal's with this. On the magnets, like here's a box of 2mm magnets that I bought. I think I paid $6 for like 500 magnets. The heavier the vehicle, the stronger the magnet you want. But the stronger the magnet you're running, the less vehicles you can run because of drag. Now the two motor system, you can put a lot of weight on it and it'll pull it up hills and all kinds of stuff. But I'll show you some of my vehicles here. I have the larger magnets on. I can run a couple on this single motor setup.
How do you keep bicycles, motorcycles?
I'll show you one. The magnet is the key. Here's a motorcycle right here.
And the magnet will force it to
It's going to make it stand up. Now, it slides along just fine, but if you notice, that's got bigger magnets on it because that's designed to run up the big hill. If I didn't run that, I don't run a 2mm magnet. I could probably put 15 of them on there. This, where'd it go? I lost picture here. Hang on a minute. There we go. Here's an example right there. It fits this vehicle and it fits this vehicle. Slide out and slide back in. And once they're sitting on the track, the weight holds the slider in place. It won't go anywhere.
So you don't have to solder the slider to anything.
No, sir. I glued, when I first got into it, look, I'm a rookie at this, guys. I'm just really learning. I've learned the hard way. I was gluing them on there. And then I saw a gentleman from Australia just drilling the holes. I went, okay, what am I doing? So that worked real well. Road surfaces. I've got a couple examples on this one. Painted. Not my normal work, but it's showing you can paint it. And then Fowler makes a road foam. This is, I don't particularly, I thought I'd like this, but I don't like it. One, it's not realistic enough, but it's foam. So it's got a little more friction to it than normal. So what I found that I like using is this material right here. Get this, if you go to Michael's or Hobby Lobby or the poster board section,
Yeah.
they have this opaque sheet and poster board size. And it's slick enough and it's slicker on one side than on the other, and that's what this road bit's made out of. Slick slide always down, always down.
So what?
Slick side always down toward the magnet. Never slick slide up. There's a gentleman that also in England that uses cardstock photo paper. Now he'll go out in front of his house. He took pictures of the streets, and he printed the streets on the paper, and uses packing tape to hold the two pieces together, but the slick side's down. So when you look at a railroad, it looks like a regular asphalt street. Pretty slick. So you use styrene to see if you want to paint. If you're going to do a lake scene where you want to do a big area of a lake, it works good as well. This other material, you could paint blue on it and make water out of it.
Russell, how does the, like if you use the photo paper, how would that keep from just having grooves over time?
It will. There's nothing you can do about that.
Do you still have that problem with these other materials?
Those, yeah, eventually everything's going to wear. Okay, eventually. The good thing about it is it's got a dark subbase. Now you just got nice full space.
If you have a wheeled vehicle and the wheels turn, can you have an air gap between the mountain and the road? Will the magnet still attract a small air gap so that I see that's a drag on the motorcycle. But on a wheeled vehicle, you could have a small gap so the magnet doesn't.
The idea is not glue the slider on there, okay, because it floats at that point, and the pins will keep it. The vehicle could be doing this, but if the ones I do have permanent glue on there, they're right at the surface, and it pulls them just fine. Speed controllers. If you just plug this thing in 12 volts, it's going to run 100 miles an hour, which if you're on 635, it's about scale. But in town, you want to slow it down a little bit. The extra $30, you can run it make them creep, or you can make them go fast. This particular guy here, he is Australia, I remember right. And of course, he's got a little thing set up on his next to his railroad, farming community. These vehicles here are sold by Magnorail. They're about 50 to 60 bucks. Bicycles are like 25, but they've got a Range Rover or tractor, 40 to 50 bucks. They're hard to get a hold of here in the States. Occasionally Renaults will have them, occasionally they won't. You just have to check on their site when it's available. You better get one if you want one.
Have you made any out of American-made vehicles?
I'm going to show you a bunch of them here in a minute. There's another one. This is another great little scene right there. You got a mountain. You want to animate that mountain instead of just being static. You have vehicles running around that mountain. That was the ideal behind ours. This here is cross-country skiing. You can use, you got a snow scene. That's how it looks on his layout. It's very cool. And here's the lakes. So if you got a boat, you got fishermen, you got oil tankers you want to move around, or anything you want to do, you can do it on the water as well. Now granted, if you look at some of these things, our level of modeling we normally do, but you could do that the same thing, make it look fantastic like real water. If, you know, we figured this earlier, we could have run ships over here on the Galveston Bay.
Yeah.
YouTube.
City of Houston.
Yeah, YouTube.
That's what I was thinking
I am no expert on this by any stretch of imagination. I got most of my ideas and inspiration off YouTube. There are thousands of clinics online. Look at them, watch them, you'll learn a lot. The guy that did the Toyota plant, it's phenomenal. It truly is. I've seen a ski lift and a ski run. I've seen boaters and skiers being chased by sharks. You see just a little bit of everything. I've seen one where using a Drino, however you pronounce it, guy's riding his bicycle, has a bicycle accident, an ambulance comes out, picks the guy up, takes him to the hospital. Very cool. There's another one that's just using a tractor. He's chugging along. A gate opens up. And the tractor goes through the gate, and the gate closes behind him, and he goes up a hill. Pretty cool. So, a little demonstration. That's it running right there. Pretty quiet. Now, it'd be quieter once you get foam around everything else. I can't really tilt it. I can, but.
I didn't know if it would take that or not.
Yeah, hang on a second. This is all about experimentation anyway. Does that help?
Yeah.
If I can't get to pick up the motorcycle. So they got a little motorcycle running around. Pretty simple. And I can speed them up.
Is there something on that controller that tells you what scale speed you're going?
No. I use a radar detector at that. I'm kidding. See, that's what happens when you get polarities wrong. Okay, and now that's how I normally ride my motorcycle, but just come by and pick up the right polarity. That's not it. Oh, missed it. I missed it again. You gotta find the right. I put some in here upside down for a reason. Some of the mistakes that I made in the past are on these motorcycles, like this one I'm showing you right here, right now. Well, that's making me look really good, Russ. Right. That's the wrong polarity on that one. It works on my oh, one wrong polarity. There we go. Well.
Lay it flat, lay it down flat, and I bet you it'll stay
I'll get it a second.
back flat, Russell.
Yeah, that's probably part of it.
Gravity's doing its work.
Yeah, it is.
Put it flat, Russell.
There we go. Dadgummit. We slow it down a little bit. There we go.
You don't have to start it over the motor, you can set it down anywhere.
Yeah, when it's running. So that's an N-scale bulldozer. So say, for instance, you've got an excavation site with a bunch of heavy equipment. You can set bulldozers up, trucks, dump trucks, whatever you want. There's another example on Facebook where a guy's got a pit And he's got simulated trucks coming out of there and backhoes operating and everything else. Pretty slick. Another N-scale vehicle. The magnets are backwards. There we go.
So is the speed adjustable?
Yes.
Yes. What kind of range? What are you showing right now? Is that medium? That's fast?
That's full speed right there. So you got highway speed.
And what speed are you on right now?
This is full blast. And you can take it down. It's very slow. More vehicles put on, more drag it. Yes, sir.
What speed do you run at home?
You know, I don't run it that much. Just when I run it, I like running a little slower. You know, the faster you run it, the more chances are going to get a little squirrely and pop off on you. It's not a perfect system, but it works real well. I'm going to be doing one for the Dallas location back here on the Texas Westerns, but it's going to be completely flat and just got like 2 lanes of traffic. And I'll run probably traffic speed. You know, if I was going to say traffic speed, I'd say about like that right there.
It's gonna be downtown Houston, you don't have to run it at all, just park them in the middle of the lane.
It's true, true. Now, we talked about vehicles, but we didn't talk about animals. Come on, Russell, where we go? If you have a stockyard, now you want cows.
There you go.
So you can have cattle actually going up the rails or coming in and out of the pens.
Yeah.
Pretty slick little deal. This guy picked up. That was a bear. And you got the bear chasing the hunter.
Hunter's going crazy. He doesn't like that.
If you had a bear case, you go crazy. Yeah.
Now, the most fun one, everybody always wants to see this. If I can find it, is the bicycle. All right, come on. Okay. This is what I'm talking about polarity, because some of these I don't have the right polarity on. There we go.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that is neat.
And they've got like 5 or 6 different styles of bicycle. You know, they even got one that got pushing a fruit cart on the front of it. It's going through like a town. So it's a simple system. My biggest encouragement, if you want to do something like this, go to YouTube. Look at all the different designs out there. Use your imagination. It's not hard. It's a little time consuming. Do the math. Figure your layout, how it's going to be. You do install the track. The tread chain does have to have a reasonable amount of slack in it. You have too much or not enough. It's too tight, it'll pop out. It's too loose, it jerks. But that's pretty much it, guys. Any more questions?
Are his legs moving because the wheel's touching?
It's got, if you look, in the very, very center, it's got a clear wheel on it. You really can't see it. Yeah.
That pedal bicycle is really neat.
Oh, yeah.
That is really good.
But like, say, for instance, if you want to run anything you want, even a big truck.
That's what I was talking about, big truck.
So if I get them the right magnet set, it'll hold it just fine. It'll pull that big truck right along. If I had radius as big a radius as turns, it'll pull the trailer too. I've tested this on our big setup with the 2 motors on it, and it pulls it like nothing. The hill down, it doesn't matter. So have y'all any more questions? No more questions?
All come pre-painted?
Yeah. Pardon?
Do they all come pre-painted, or do you have to paint them?
The vehicles? The vehicles I just bought off the shelf. This one I've weathered.
Oh, okay.
It goes on my, see if I got big magnets on it. See what it does with big magnets? I take the big magnets. That's because I got to go up hills. Anyway. Yeah. Anyway, that's it, guys.
All right, thank you everybody for coming today. If you would stack your chairs when we're all done. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you all very much.